Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Sippin' Tea with Nat Z. I'm Nat.
And I'm Z.
How is everybody this week? Thanks for coming out and listening to us. What's going on with you, Z?
Everything's good. I can't complain. Let's see. I figured out what was going on with the cough, and I've finally gotten that under control.
Yay.
As I start to feel a tickle in my throat. So, it was actually acid reflux. So if there's anybody out there who has a chronic cough, and you may have asthma as well, and it's just not going away, you can't figure it out, you might want to see if your acid reflux is aggravating the situation, because I didn't realize that that's what it was. And as soon as I got on acid reflux medication,
it went away.
So, so yeah, that's been my week, just dealing with that. And then, if you're in the government and you're working, we're at the end of the year, even though we're in the beginning of the fiscal year, but it seems like everybody's trying to push everything. We're in the beginning of our fiscal year. Our fiscal year starts October to September. So, but it's the end of the year, so everybody's trying to get their benefits done and push all these things through before people go out and use or lose. So this week has been a little hectic at work. For me. What about you? What's been going on with you?
A lot and nothing. Just kind of keeping a low profile. I started decorating a little bit before Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
And so we put up all the trees, and we have 3 trees. So 1 or 2 are actually have 5 ornaments on them. But that's I did put some garland and lights up on the banister last night, and I set up my little Santa island. I have we have a little Santa display, and I added little snow and lights and stuff this time. And then I found a black angel that I integrated, so she's looking over, and she looks like Mrs. Claus. Looks like she's looking over all the Santas and stuff. So, my husband and I, we collect Santas. Every year we go out to see if we can find black Santas, because they're so hard to find. And if you don't go out in August, they're not there anymore. So
yeah, black Santas are hard to find.
So, and we got one for our porch. We got a blow up one. I don't know if it's going up, but we have one should we decide to use it.
Girl, y'all be putting up decorations December 26th, and then don't take them down till March the 3rd.
Basically, because last year we sure enough were on the porch putting up decorations on the 26th. So this year I started early. I started super early since I'm home, still recovering. I can take my time and decorate, so it all worked out. But I'm good, just sitting here. I'm actually sipping on one of our past teas, from the Snarky Teas today. So the Fierce Bitch one. So just want to let y'all know we actually do drink some of the teas that we talk about. So I wanted to put that little plug in there. So what is going on with the tea of the day?
So, again, we're not tea experts. You should speak to your doctor when drinking herbal tea, as there are potential side effects when mixed with some medications. This should not be a substitute for medication. We are not affiliated with any of these companies, nor are these endorsements. So what are we recommending to the people today?
So today, since we're talking about our topic is I Will Survive, learning how to heal, we have 2 on deck. One I'm just going to go over real quickly is chamomile. We all know it has a healing effect, helps with insomnia and stuff like that. So it's a go-to for everybody, just to remind everyone about that. And the one we're going to focus on, though, is organic passion flower tea from Buddha Teas specifically. So organic passion tea boasts a rich and savory earthy taste. The nourishing flavor is reminiscent of a broth, which needs no sweetening but blends nicely with honey, milk, and sugar. Yeah, so I figured we're healing broth, soup type, get yourself cuddled up type of vibe. The health benefits are known to help with anxiety, insomnia, menopause, which is great for any ladies out there who have had the hysterectomy or premenopausal or what have you. Can help with hot flashes, which is great. Inflammation.
Elimination.
I'm sure it helps with that too. it's a twofer: elimination and inflammation. Oh my goodness! It acts as a relaxant and antidepressant. So something that'll, kind of help you on your healing journey physically, mentally, and just kind of give you a warm hug. So
yes, ma'am.
That's
yes,
it
ma'am.
for the tea today.
Okay, so then we can sip on some hot tea.
Mm-hmm. What's going on?
Girl. So first is they released the new versus battle, which will take place on December 12th. It is Ashanti versus Keisha Cole. Okay, I'm okay with it. Somebody said it's the can't sing versus cantor sing. So
I wasn't gonna say nothing. I think
Keisha Cole can sing. I mean,
so there's certain songs where the pitch in it, it's just too much. I can't. It's you know what song I'm singing but not singing already, don't you?
Yes.
Exactly.
But I mean, I'm here for it. Men, if you know, if you haven't gotten your wife or your fiance, your girl, let's just say anybody who hasn't gotten their partner something, you might want to do it, before this battle, because it's going to be a lot of finger pointing, a lot of head rolling going on.
All of that
as we watch this. My one question was, did they have enough hits between the both of them? Maybe they'll do some features, I guess, but we'll see.
Shawnee's on a lot of features, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. Somebody said she just needs to sing J-Lo songs since they basically were hers. So,
she wrote them, right?
I think she did. I think she wrote a lot of that. So then let's see. Oh, the word on the street is the word on the street. And Foxy's brother kind of confirmed this, that there is going to be a Kim versus Foxy versus battle. And let me tell you, if so,
what?
I'm breaking out the color wigs,
all that
first. Get my Fendi bag together. I'll be sitting on my couch with my legs crossed. Glass of champagne, okay, bitches? I'm gonna be ready for this.
Dressed in all black.
Hell yes, like the Omen, okay?
Yes, girl, like the Omen.
I am here for that, because their beef is kind of like Jeezy Gucci, so you don't know. You don't know what's gonna happen.
How Foxy gonna? You know what?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
That is a logistical question,
ma'am. She might have a hearing aid. She might have had surgery.
That's true. I think she did have surgery.
So
she did have surgery.
We're gonna give her the benefit of the doubt, but if not, maybe Kim can do some little slick slides in there. I don't know. Hopefully they've gotten over whatever beef they had to just do this for the culture. So
please, I mean, why we gotta have beef? There's only but so many of us in the top tiers that
I don't think
other artists go through this.
It is what it is. Tiana Taylor announced this week that she's retiring from music. She said it's because she feels underappreciated and that she needs to do this for her mental and emotional health. She's asked Def Jam to release her several times. I will say she can sing and she's talented. And I really thought that after that Kanye song that she danced to was kind of like that flash dance, like, the one I'm talking about. That kind of like that just elevated her. I really thought that after that she was just going to like blow up, and it kind of like just flatlined a little bit for her. She kind of just and I feel bad. Like, she's very talented, so it's a shame that her management and record label aren't doing more to really promote her and push her out. I heard her latest album. Yeah, and her material is really good. The latest album was really good. So I don't know. I hope she doesn't let this, knock her down. I think it was after the Grammy snub. A lot of people got snubs, and I think maybe that snub just kind of really rubbed her the wrong way. Rightfully so. So maybe she'll change her mind and give us some new music in the future. We'll see. So before I go into this, I'm going to talk about Oscar season. If y'all don't know, I'm a cinephile. I talk about this all the time. I love movies. I really do. And I am a bit of a movie snob, and I claim it. I own it. I'm not ashamed of it. Judge your mama, not me. And this is Oscar season, right? And it ends December 31st. So I've been really curious to see how Oscar season was going to play out this year, because we've been in COVID. There haven't really been movies coming out. The ones that do aren't really, like, in my opinion, top tier movies. So I've been like struggling to kind of figure out how this is all going to play out. So apparently they've pushed the Oscars back to April, which is late for the Oscars.
Right.
So it's going to be April 25th. It's going to be in person. So hopefully COVID will be gone by then. And although we're still in the midst of Oscar season, there have been some notable mentions of movies who are going to probably be at least nominated. So I'm just going to go through some of them because I'm pretty excited about it. And I'm also excited about it because a lot of these movies you can either watch on Netflix, Amazon, and I'm trying to think the other one. It might be Disney, but I'll just go through some of them. So Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is going to release on Netflix, I believe, next week, is up for best. People are saying would be up for Best Picture. The Trial of the Chicago 7, which I haven't watched yet. It's on Netflix. That's up for Best Picture. People are saying One Night in Miami, Best Picture. Regina King directed this. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to release, if it hasn't already, on Amazon. Regina King would be up for Best Director. Chadwick Boseman might get a posthumous Oscar. People are really saying that his role in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is awesome.
Oh, wow.
So we'll see. Delroy Lindo for Best Actor for The Five Bloods. That you can check out on Netflix. Viola Davis, Best Actress, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Audra Day, Best Actress for a movie called The United States versus Billie Holiday. Lee Daniels directed that. I'm not sure where that's being released. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
HBO Max is the other one. It's not Disney. It's HBO Max. There's a lot of movies going to be released on HBO Max. Daniel Kaluuya for Best Supporting Actor for a movie called Judas and the Black Messiah. It's a picture biopic. Black Panther movie. And then Leslie Odom Jr. Many of you know him from Hamilton. He will be up for Best Supporting Actor from One Night in Miami. So we're really, I mean, if this plays out, this is a definitely a good group of movies and actors. So we'll see. So since we're talking about healing today, the last bit of hot tea I have is about Lisa Ray and Monique. These women need some serious healing in their life, okay?
They need some Iyanla to fix their life.
Oh, no, because Iyanla tried to fix Lisa Ray.
Oh, that ain't with the mama.
It ain't work. It ain't work. So Lisa Ray was on, like you said, she was on Iyanla trying to fix her life, her mama, and her daughter. And that is just a whole bunch of generational trauma. These women are just like, I mean, it's sad to see the state that these women are in. The mama's bitter. Lisa Ray's bitter. The daughter is just, what do you call it? Numb. Desensitized, I would say. The mama mad at Lisa Ray because she feels as though she had to stay in an abusive marriage to give Lisa Ray a better life. And Lisa Ray idolizes her father and kind of gives her mother her ass to kiss.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Lisa Ray feels like her mom's just bitter and just blaming her for all the problems in her life. And the daughter feels like all of that has been trickled down to her and she gets the brunt of all of this. So, and then to top it off, the daughter, Lisa Ray's daughter, has a daughter.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of generational trauma, curses that are building up that have been passed on. It is no good.
And I'll say this, girl, Lisa Ray's relationship with her father to me was a little much. Apparently they had a pact, a suicide pact.
Oh.
That if one of them were to die, the other had to take his or her own life.
With his daughter?
Yes. And then shortly after the father passed away, Lisa Ray, in fact, deliberately ran her car into a tree to honor their pledge. But she was unsuccessful. That's just a little creepy to me. And Iyanla did say that the father used Lisa Ray as kind of like the mistress. Like you were like the other woman and he used you against your mother and you don't even see that. It was just a lot.
Wow.
And at the end, it's a lot. And at the end, Lisa Ray was like, well, maybe we could come back in 6 months to see how we've done. And Iyanla was like, maybe, maybe. Iyanla was like, you know what? Y'all can't be fixed. She even said that. She was like, I can't do nothing with y'all.
Whoa. And she thought this was okay. She thinks that was okay.
Girl, that family they got a lot of healing. There's a lot of broken people. And so Iyanla, one of the things I wanted to say, Iyanla said to Lisa Ray, your daughter is broken. Do you know how she got that way? And Lisa Ray was like, no. And Iyanla was like, oh, Jesus. Like, you broke her. You don't see that? They don't want to own none of their shit. None of them wanted to own any of their shit.
So is that why the mama resents her because the dad and her had that pact?
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, not the pact, but just the relationship overall. Right. Yeah. None of them wanted to own their shit. So Iyanla was like, I can't do nothing with you. Because if all you want to do is point fingers at the next, there's nothing I can do.
Right.
So then lastly, Monique. So Monique, she calls her husband daddy.
Sorry?
Yes. And not in a playful, in
a paternal way?
Yes. She calls her husband daddy. And she says this because, well, here's a quote she gave. And then she was talking to Tamar. And she said that they were out, they pull up to, I guess, some location wherever they were going. And he came around to the side of her door and said, can you just let me treat you like a lady? And she said she didn't know what to say to that because she didn't have that, I guess, in her life. So she said, when people say, why do you call him daddy? She says, because he's raising me. He's giving me everything that my father did not.
Wow.
Yes, your face. Your face, right. It's okay, pick it up, because that is what she said. And I said, ma'am.
But
he is your husband. He is not your father. He is not raising you. You are a grown-ass woman.
You may not feel that way, right? But that doesn't mean you should be having that type of paternalistic child. Wow. Wow. I mean, maybe that explains straight up daddy issues. That explains maybe their relationship, the way she let certain things, the way they defined it, I guess, maybe, because it's, wow.
I just don't feel that man has good intentions. This is me personally. I saw an interview with them both recently. With, I don't know if you know that guy, Lonnie B. He's from the DMV area. Yeah, he's like his good girlfriends. Yes. Yeah. So he interviewed her. And her husband's sitting there the whole time beside her with sunglasses on. She's locked arm in arm with him the whole time. And it's the whole time. Sydney this and Sydney that. And and he was just sitting there like, I'm like,
bouncer.
And I was like, ma'am, you are so broken. You don't even see it. You need therapy. No, that man is not your father. He is your husband. And he as your husband, he shouldn't want you to look at him that way.
No, that's What
the that is ridiculous.
That's something we're going to have to go into, because you think about also on the flip side, some men expect their wives to raise them.
I ain't raising nobody.
That part. But that's something we can definitely look into, because it's just very disturbing.
Very.
It's sad. I think it's concerning, and it's sad because you're that far broken. You're that far gone. That you have got to look to your spouse
as a parent.
Yeah. That speaks volumes. And then the fact that he's okay with it, just going along to get along. And encouraging it. That's like mind control type of thing.
It is.
You know what I mean?
It is. It's a form of control. And it was like red flag, red flag, red flag. Ain't nobody else seeing this?
Wow. And she's totally detached. It's like cognitive dissonance.
She doesn't seem like there's nothing wrong with it. She literally said out her mouth, I call him daddy because he's raising me.
To do what? Wait, what? Okay. Monique, I wish you the best, sweetheart. I hope you get some
counseling,
therapy, and work through whatever it is you need to work through, because that's just not healthy for you. I'm not going to say that normal, not because I don't want to say that I'm normalizing or not, but I think I hope
not healthy.
Get to the bottom of that, and heal yourself.
Hello,
that is definitely broken.
Hello, good morning.
All that. Oh my goodness. Well, Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to jump right into our tea time segment. All right, so we're back. So, as you saw in the or heard in the previous segment, we looking at things on how to heal, and talking about how you're going to survive. And as you can see, based on our brief conversation before, is a lot of things happen in our lives sometimes as we're growing up that kind of dictate different hardships for ourselves, that either be heartbreak, injury, death, feelings of abandonment, which I think kind of ties into some of the Lisa Ray and Monique conversation that we just have. But everybody has their respective hurts, and they're personalized, and people focus on what they know and what's comforting. It's historically, it's feeling hurt is part of our nature. And we want to make sure that we kind of heal ourselves as part of our nurturing response to that. But historically, when you hurt yourself and back in the day, however you decide for survival reasons, that is for future protection of yourself. Because if you're hurt, then you have a memory imprinted on you on how to respond next time that situation may come along to protect yourself. But a lot of times, in the sense of being hunted and hunter and so on and so forth. But nowadays, it doesn't necessarily serve a practical purpose unless you want to go down the relationship path or feel like you're it's a predatory relationship and you're trying to survive that. But that is in that particular situation. A lot of times we try to figure out how can we get past that. Sometimes it's sharing our hurts, and that helps us heal, and that's talking or journaling or something to that effect. But a lot of times with the cultural component of talking about what our hurts are, some people don't want to do that. If they do talk about it, going into how they get stuck into that cycle of talking about their hurts, it can manifest itself in so many different ways. You hold on to the past and something that negative has happened to you, but you constantly replay it. And that's kind of it's like your drug. You're addicted to replaying the hardships and the pains and the hurts that you have. And then you really can't let go of them. Your emotions kind of own you. It's a trigger. As some things are like a hairline trigger, and then you treat right back into your hurt, and you don't really feel like you can get past it. Or even like when we were talking about Monique and them, they don't even recognize that they're hurt. So they just keep replaying certain situations and putting yourself back into situations. And then as long as you're stuck in that, you keep going back to the same emotional space that you were hurt in. And then for whatever reason, you can't find your way out of it. You go down a rabbit hole. I think we've all done this, in relationships and be it romantic or friendship. Something went wrong with the friendship, and you go back and replay and replay and replay. Well, could I have done this differently? Or it wasn't my fault, or projecting on that other person. And you just, wounded animal all the time. And every time you're in a situation or there's that one friend that every time you talk to them about, hey, the sky is blue, they come back to, the sky was blue when so hurt me, and da 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 da, and they just keep replaying. On that day that he hurt me or she hurt me, or they hurt me, and then you're like brooding, kind of like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, where you just kind of mope around all the time and have nothing else to talk about, and then your family or friends just kind of look at you like, oh God, here we go again. We were just talking about the moon, and now you're talking about that one moonlit night. That person left you out somewhere. Now you had her and you sad and stuff like that. But it's real to you. I mean, that's a real pain to you, and that you feel and you agonize over. But then there's a time when you're like, at some point you kind of sit back and like, you're kind of bored, like replaying the same story over and over again. And if you get to that point, most of your circle is probably sick of it.
Yeah, I would say that is the case. I would say that would be the case.
Yes, definitely. So, but one thing to think about, is when you can pull yourself out of your own muck, right? By giving yourself the same stories but giving yourself happy endings to those stories,
Yes.
You'll find that your rage, your discontent, your shame, or whatever else that may be attached to that, and you turn that into peace, your pain into power and your fear to courage, so that you can work through whatever next steps that looks like. And then attached to that is maybe you feel like you should have gotten an apology,
Right.
Z, what's your thoughts on that?
So, you're right. A lot of times people get kind of stuck in the muck of hurt. They just get stuck there. It's like quicksand, and it just keeps bringing them down, and they either get frozen in it or whatever. And some people feel like, well, I would be better if I got an apology for the hurt. I would be able to heal if somebody just apologized for what they did. Right.
Right.
And that could be it, right? Sometimes healing does involve an apology. And sometimes the power of a heartfelt apology can be remarkable in your healing process.
True.
It can sometimes free you from feeling trapped in anger, in bitterness, and obsessive rumination, right? We tend to obsess over and over again about what went wrong, what happened, how did I get to this point, what triggered that type of response for me to be hurt. So if that's what you need to heal, if you're somebody who's listening right now and you're going through something and you feel like what you need to heal is an apology, do you even know what your apology language is? Because we all have a love language, but we also have an apology language. And this was something that I found out rather recent, like, oh, wow, I have an apology language. And yeah, that is my apology language. So here are some apology languages. And again, if you're someone right now who's healing and you feel like an apology would help you move past it, maybe one of these is speaking to you. So expressing regret, right? You need somebody to express the regret of hurting you. That is your apology language. And an example of this is, I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I hurt you. That's it. I'm sorry I hurt you.
Yep. That can do wonders.
It could
do wonders.
Accepting responsibility. This is my apology language. I just want you to accept responsibility for hurting me. Own it. So an example of this apology language is, I'm sorry I yelled at you earlier. I was wrong. You know what you don't hear in that? But.
Yes.
Anytime somebody adds a but,
that part,
it's not heartfelt.
Not at all, because they're trying to justify.
Right. That they're justifying at that point. If you're somebody who has hurt someone and the person you hurt needs healing and their apology language is accepting responsibility, there's no buts. Just own it and move forward.
Please.
This was actually something that I saw recently with the Will Smith and Janet Hubert conversation. Will hurt her, and he accepted the responsibility.
Right.
There was no but. There was no, you did this though.
Right.
It was, I own it. I accept it. And I'm sorry.
Yep.
Makes
a difference.
It does make a difference. Making restitution. If this is your apology language, you would like to hear somebody say this to you. What can I do to make this up to you? It's just that simple. Genuinely repenting. There are a lot of us whose love language is this. And what does this look like? You want somebody to take extra steps towards change. Right. And an example of this is, I know what I did was wrong and I won't do it again.
Right. Thank you.
That's it.
No other explanation. It took 2.5 seconds.
How hard is that?
Right.
That's it. And some people like for people to request forgiveness. And what does this look like? You want your partner to ask for forgiveness. Yeah. And sometimes this could be the most difficult element of an apology.
Very much so.
For many people.
Very contentious.
But it could be the most significant. If I come to you and I say, I would like your forgiveness. Just, can you forgive me? For some people, that just means the world.
Everything. And it can turn your situation a whole round it out.
And these aren't just exclusive, right? You just may not have one apology language. You may like accepting responsibility and making restitution. So you may be somebody that likes to hear, I'm sorry I yelled at you earlier. I was wrong. What can I do to make this up to you?
There you go. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. Nope. It is so simple.
It
is so simple, and it's one of the hardest things for people to do.
It is. Yeah. But a lot of people need this to heal, whatever type of healing it is that they're going through. Some people need that apology. So it's important to understand what your apology language is. And then it's also important to understand how healing actually is going to happen.
Right. And it takes a number of forms, and you have to be present with your emotions, acknowledge that they're going on. And if you're feeling them, don't deny them, which I think can elongate the healing process and further traumatize you if you don't acknowledge them when they're happening. And that's how a lot of times people stay in them, because they're like, oh, I'm fine. And then it, rears its ugly head at the most inopportune times, and you realize, okay, I didn't heal, give myself enough time to heal from this, and then those emotions come and go. But then also you need to think that you're deserving of experiences that can help you get through this and help you heal, and acknowledge that you're worthy of that. Acknowledge that you have hopes and dreams and goals beyond this point of hurt that can help you actually aid in the process of your healing.
Take your time, Pastor.
I'll pass the plate a little bit. Okay? Because when you have all these dreams and stuff, you're sitting with the emotion, but not sitting through them and working through them, you can deny yourself even thinking about what's next and what's beyond this point of hurt that you have. And thereby it sabotages yourself and anything else that you want to do. And you have to keep those painful things in perspective. Acknowledge them, try to say or understand that it happened, and then figure out am I okay for this and this moment, and acknowledge that process that you've gone through, because you have to give yourself enough time to acknowledge and be like, okay, I'm okay with this, or maybe I'm not okay with this, and this is why. And this is okay for me to feel like this, because you don't have to justify it to anyone else but yourself, to be like, this is how I'm feeling. This is where it's taking me. And I feel like sitting with this for a certain amount of time.
Right.
And then in that process, if you sit with those feelings too long and you will, wallow in stuff, you may not think that you need to be out and about with your friends, or your family that could actually help you get through this. And you need to stick to that. Try to make sure you plan past that pain and kind of force yourself to go out and enjoy other relationships with your family and friends, And then, there's also figure out different things that can, in addition to hanging out with your family and friends, is there something creatively that you can do that will help you heal? I know I have certain things and hobbies that help me get through certain painful experiences that, go from painting to walking, dancing, sitting out and binging on something. Like, that's that me time, that self-care that we always come back to. That's the thread of our podcast. How do you make sure that you circle back to that? And also make sure you're honest with yourself, that if you're going through anxiety during this, acknowledge it's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it, but don't sit there with it and feel like you're alone and you're abandoned and nobody wants to help you. And because there are people that they just may help you in a different way. And if you can't articulate that, then it's going to feel like they're not helping you at all. So those are some things that you really need to think about, and just give yourself that time to work through what has to be done to make you feel better, whatever that may be. But that's a journey in and of itself. And then there's so many different other types of healing that come with this in general. There's physical, emotional, and spiritual healing. And when they act as a trifecta, will definitely help speak to all those things that I had just mentioned.
Right.
I know you had some things on that.
Right. So, Natalie just went through some very, general situations and ideas on how healing happens, right? There are things that everybody can do, but then it's just like, how does healing happen when we're talking about specific instances or situations, right? How does healing happen when we're talking about physical pain or physical trauma or emotional pain or spiritual pain that we need to heal from, right? So if you are going through some physical pain right now, some things that you can institute into your healing process is getting some gentle exercise, right? Breathe right to ease the pain. Maybe read books or leaflets on whatever pain it is that you're experiencing. Sometimes counseling can get you through the pain.
Yes, it does.
If you're somebody who experiences chronic pain, you may need to seek some professional help to kind of guide you through that, to kind of figure out, why am I going through this pain? Why is this pain affecting my body the way that it is, right?
I can speak to that. It is helpful.
Right.
So helpful.
A lot of cancer patients go through counseling because of the types of pain that they experience, because it's a lot. The medication can sometimes cause pain, the radiation, the disease. So a lot of people need to have a therapist to just help them sit with this and process it.
Because it's challenging.
Yes.
Day in and day out, it wears on you.
Yes. Distract yourself from the pain, right? I know we say sometimes distractions aren't always a good thing, but do what Natalie says. Pick something creative that you like to do and immerse yourself in it. So if you like making candles or body butters, or you like to send gifts to friends, or you like to paint, whatever it is, maybe use that as a distraction. And no way, and by no means are we minimizing anybody's pain by saying, all you need to do is distract yourself.
At all.
Because that's not what we're saying. We're just saying that these are some things that could help you manage the pain, right? And not make you focus or get stuck in it. Because I'm a firm believer that if all you do is focus on your pain, it's going to be 10 times worse.
And ever present. And keep,
always. You can share your story about your pain. You can take a course on your physical pain, right? To kind of help manage whatever it is that you're going through with the physical symptoms. Now, if you're somebody that's going through physical trauma, there are some things that you can do to help in the healing process. One of the things, probably is a major thing, is just give yourself time.
Yes.
It's going to take time. It could take weeks. It could take months.
Years.
To accept what happened and learn to live with it.
Yes.
So just be gentle with yourself. Give yourself grace. Be involved with other survivors.
So important. The support group component.
Yes, support groups are wonderful.
Oh my goodness. So important.
Always ask for support. Don't be afraid to talk to someone and say, I need to lean on you today. I just cannot do it myself. Or in the opposite, take time to yourself. A lot of times we get, so I got to be around people, because if I'm not around people, then I'm just going to be stuck with my thoughts, and I can't be stuck with my thoughts. But sometimes to heal, we need to be stuck with those thoughts and just allow ourselves to process this and get through it. Sometimes you have to do it. Sometimes the only way to get through pain, to heal through the pain, is to go through it. Not to avoid it. It's just to get through it.
And it's painful, but
it is. It will be. Talk it over. Maybe get into a routine. Maybe have a daily routine that you do. Because sometimes consistency helps.
Yes.
It helps get you up. It helps push you through the day. So maybe develop some type of routine. And then do normal things with other people. Now, if you're somebody who's currently going through some emotional stuff that you need to heal from, be yourself. You don't feel like you need to change who you are. Just be you. Or reinvent yourself. If you feel like this is the perfect time to kind of take stock of who you are and make whatever personality changes you feel need to be made, maybe now's the time to do it. One of the things I think a lot of us forget when we're going through emotional pain is to still love. Yes. And allow ourselves to be loved.
That is very hard sometimes.
A lot of times we have some of us have, we talk about boundaries a lot, right? Some of us have boundaries that are non-existent. We are just let people consistently habitual line steppers. But there are some of us who really have, our boundaries are too firm, right? And if your boundaries are too firm, then you will prevent love from coming in and love from going out.
Right.
And that's hard sometimes when we're going through emotional pain. Get a grip on your mind. Ooh, this is big.
That's hard.
It is.
You're your own worst enemy sometimes.
You are.
That self-talk.
Ooh, that mind. I be telling my head to shut up. Like, just shut up.
Just shut it down.
Just shut up. Like, I don't need to hear that today. I'm not in the mood for that talk today or that nonsense. Like, go back to wherever you came from.
And say it just like that.
I do. Out loud. I talk to myself all the time.
Girl, you and me both. I don't answer myself sometimes, but, you know. There are days. Girl, what you doing? Girl, and you have a full-blown conversation to get your mind right.
Girl, forget the past. And what I think that means is, you know, you don't necessarily need to forget it, right? Because, you know, I don't believe in forgive and forget. I believe in remember and recover. That's my motto. So maybe you need to just forget it, meaning leave the past where it is. It's good as a reference tool.
Yes.
But you don't get stuck in it. Leave it there and move forward.
Right.
Flip the anxiety switch off, which is hard, but maybe find tools that will help you do that. Right? I have a lot of things in my arsenal where my anxiety starts to kick in. And I'm going to tell you, the height of COVID, my anxiety was like on 20. And I had to find ways to kind of flip the switch. So if you're somebody who's dealing with anxiety and you want some additional tools or tips, hit us up in our, DMs, and I will definitely give you some tips that I use to flip that switch. Make meaning, make daily investments be meaningful and intentional. Whatever it is that you're going to do for the day, make it mean something.
Like, I intentionally mean to make this bomb omelet today. And if that's as far as you get, at least you have accomplished.
Exactly. Hello. Let meaning trump mood, meaning let the meaning in your life trump however you're feeling in your life. And then deal with the circumstances. Sometimes, again, you got to get through it. You can't go around it. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. Sometimes you got to go through it to heal, to get to the other side. And then lastly, a lot of us, we're going through some spiritual things, and we need some healing from. And spiritual healing pretty much is just a treatment that involves like the transfer of energy from the healer to the recipient. And it promotes self-healing by just kind of relaxing your body, releasing tensions, and strengthening the body's own immune system. And it's not linked to any particular religion. And it's not faith healing, because I know a lot of times when we talk about spiritual healing, a lot of people like to connect that to faith-based or some type of religion, and it's really not.
Yeah, because it could be a source of future anxiety.
Right.
For some people.
Right. So, when you're doing spiritual healing, you want to kind of give yourself affirmations and ask yourself questions. Well, I'm sorry. You want to give up your affirmations and ask questions instead. And so what does that mean? We always talk about affirmations. Give yourself an affirmation. Give yourself an affirmation. I am love. I am beauty. But maybe you should say, instead of I will love and accept myself today, maybe you should ask yourself, will I love and accept myself today? Because then your brain is going to start looking for possible answers to what you can do to love and accept yourself that day.
Right.
When you just make that affirmation and that statement, it's just there. What are you doing with it? I will love and accept myself today. But how are you putting that into action? When you ask yourself if you're going to do it, you're forcing yourself to figure out how you're actually going to do that.
What are the action items?
Right. Create a blessing bowl. I'm going to start this. When I saw this, I said, this is definitely something I'm going to do. Every day, write down something that you categorize as a blessing.
Yes. Gratitude.
Put it on a piece of paper, fold it up, put it in a box, a bowl. Do it for about a month. And then the last day of the month, reread everything you wrote.
Right.
It's just that simple. And then create a letting go ritual. And however that is, maybe if you're going through a breakup, you take the stuff and that, that man gave you and put it outside and burn it up.
Right. Helps sometimes.
Yeah.
It does. All of those things that Z mentioned are such great active ways to go about how to support your healing process. You know, one thing that I've known, or I've tried to process as I've gone through my own healing process physically with all my surgeries and whatnot, is to honor your pain, acknowledge it, accept it. And this is physical, emotional, and spiritual. And sometimes all three of them are occurring at the same time. And some of them may have grown out of one in particular. For me, as an example, with my physical pain, you know, acknowledging that the pain is present and letting yourself be with it and just trying to, you know, understand that this is temporary and you can hopefully move past it and then figure out how can you soothe yourself, like what she so you mentioned before. And then with the emotional component, the same thing. Like physical pain can definitely cause emotional angst because you're like, why am I going through this? Why is this happening? Why does this keep happening? I know for me personally, that's happened for quite a while with me dealing with my chronic illness for 20 plus years, and then me now recovering from surgery. You emotionally, it's draining, and you're like, how do I balance the physical and the emotional pain of how to go through this healing process? And sometimes, you know, you turn to the spiritual to kind of bring that all together to help process all of those things. And you can sometimes honor your pain through some of the spiritual practices that Zarifa mentioned before. And entwined with that, you know, you reach out to friends. You know, I have my friends that I've talked to about what's going on with me. And then sometimes I will say part of that emotional strain is you don't want to be a burden to somebody. You don't want to necessarily sit and talk about your pain all the time, every time you talk to somebody, which can be emotionally jarring for you because you may need that, but that person may not be that vessel to put that into at that time because that person may not be in a place to receive it. You know, it's kind of like when you walk into Gap or any other store and they're like, hey, how you doing? Do they really want to know how you're doing? Because you could stand there and unload on them, but that doesn't mean they're actually in that place to receive what you're giving, you know? So trying to figure out which friends may be able to help you with that. And if not, then turn to therapy. You know, I have a therapist that I've been working with. We're on a kind of a hiatus right now, but to help me get through the constant chronic pain that I'm going through, because you kind of take for granted the little things. And then when you realize you can't do them, it causes great angst. And then, you know, trying to empathize, you want your friends to empathize with you, but you know, and you realize they can't always. And then you also don't want them to be like, oh God, she's sick again. Oh no, she's going through this again. Oh no, she's having a breakdown again. So, you know, trying to balance that can be it can be challenging. I know I've gone through that sometimes. And, you know, I've had some friends hit me up like, I haven't heard from you. Are you okay? Is there anything I can do? But then what I need to go through, I can't put that on them. So then I have to figure out how do I redirect those things.
And I will say to that, just to say to that, I am one of those people that keeps a lot of things inside, right? I've had to go through a lot of healing in my life. There have just been myriad of deaths that just hit me kind of like back to back to back to back, right? And there are times, like I said, I don't think until maybe recently, maybe a year or two now that the whole tribe knew that I suffered from anxiety and depression. Just not something that I shared because it was just something that I felt I had to deal with on my own. And I didn't, like you said, want to burden anybody with it. I don't want to have this, you know, these conversations about, oh, why are you know, are you okay? Like maybe this is your depression, because I had a situation happen to me once with someone who's not my friend anymore, where I was having something and I was going through a bit of an emotional situation. I was having a rough time that day. And they were one of the few people that honestly knew what was going on with me, and the fact that I had, you know, a lot of anxiety and I was going through a depressive state. And they said, did you take your medicine today? And it was that same conversation that Michelle Williams had with her. I don't know if they're back together now. He said the same thing to her. And that's very dismissive. And that situation, because it was one of the few people that I actually told that to, kind of made me say, I'm not telling anybody else this at all. Because if this is how somebody is going to react, because I'm not in a good mental state right now, I don't want to be bothered. So I didn't tell anybody else for a very long time.
Yeah.
So, it's healthy to reach out to friends.
It is.
And to find that vessel, like Natalie said, to be able to put that into.
So important. So important. And then if it takes you to the spirituality component, like we talked about, or your religion or your faith, which are three distinct situations as far as, in my perspective. With the religion, some people lean on going to church every day. Some people lean on, like when you say certain mantras, some people replace that with Bible verses or going to, Bible study, or they'll just say, keep your faith. It's, my mom, we're a Christian family, and we're growing up and going through this whole issue with me and my pain and me, one thing happened and then I'm fine. And then another thing happened. My mom was always quick to say, just, have faith, it'll be okay. Pray this, pray that. And not to say that I don't take that into account or other people shouldn't take that into account. But sometimes you're just in a space where you don't want to hear none of that. Like, this is not helping me heal.
Right.
Because they're like, well, what about and they're coming from a place of a genuine place to help you get through and help you navigate this ship that you're on of healing. But sometimes the timing is not great. Like with Z said, did you take your meds? That person may at that point thought they were doing something good, but it's a trigger because you're not helping me right now. That is not helping me. I need you to just sit here and absorb what it is I'm telling you because I'm in the midst of going through it. Me taking my meds right now is not going to help my situation. And it can be very frustrating. But, going into that, you take a break and you circle back to some self-care. So some of the stuff that I've done with the tribe, I guess that was last year, 2 years ago. I don't even remember. COVID just messed up the whole timeline. You're doing meditation. We've done meditation work with the girls, and we've done, some other spirituality, breath work and stuff like that. Can help. I know for me, dealing with all this stuff that I've been dealing with in my 7 hospitalizations in the past year, I've had to get more into meditation and grounding. And the grounding meditation, for your information, is a spiritual term, so you may hear people throw it around a lot, but it's referring to centering your soul and your body and in turn connecting it with the Mother Earth. And a lot of people think there's different ways to ground yourself. And it's basically you have choices to do certain things. For me, I go outside, I walk around in the grass, I go outside and be with nature and just kind of get a reality check on, okay, there's so much more going on that's bigger than me right now. And how do I connect with that and be thankful for that and process the feelings that I'm going through? And, kind of just sit with being present outside, if you will. And then resonance breathing, which is slowing your breathing down to 6 breaths per minute. Breath work, they have whole courses and what have you. They have a lot of videos on YouTube for it. There's a couple meditation classes that I'm taking right now to help with my breath work and it also helps with your pain. Physically, it helps with your pain. Learning how to breathe and control your breath, because the body can, more often than not, can self-heal to an extent. Sometimes it needs a little help, but those type of practices can definitely help expedite and help you process, get your blood pressure down, quiet your mind. And, like we had said before, meditation isn't just sitting there all the time in an Indian style with your hands, palms open and say Nam Yom Reiko. I can't say the damn. Y'all know what I mean, doing the Tina Turner thing. Because it can be going outside. It can be painting. It can be, doing something for yourself that relaxes you. That can be points of meditation. And then taking it to the next step. I know for me, when I go through my breathing and my meditation, I'll just like veg out and just not think about anything and just be still. And sometimes you really need to just be quiet, And then hopefully that time that you've used to be still and reflect, you can turn that into journaling. I know I journaled earlier last week. There were some things that I wrote down some intentions on a piece of paper and I put them and we'll get into this a little bit later, but I have a meditation altar I wrote some things down on a piece of paper that I was trying to let go at the end of the moon cycle, if you will, because we just had a full moon. And I just wrote some things down, some intentions down, and said things I need to release, things I need to let go of, and help me heal what it is that I'm going through, help heal my angst and anxiety of dealing with pain and what have you. And then I went into my journal and wrote down some things that I want to replace those things with. How can I continue to help the healing? How can I be more aware of what I can do to take care of myself consciously, not just going through, but actually I spent 4 hours in my room the other morning, sitting down and writing what I want to see for myself, what will help me heal. And then going back and looking at, okay, so how can I enact these,
Right.
It helps with your self-awareness. And then the forgiving yourself comes with that. Forgive yourself for being angry. Forgive yourself for second guessing yourself or beating up on yourself that you can't get through. You can't heal faster. It's not going to help you heal faster. It just can help your process go maybe a little bit smoother.
Right.
And then as you're going through these, it helps you move on. You can help trust yourself, because even journaling, and when you put pen to paper, sometimes a lot of things tend to manifest. So you can see and connect with the paper that I do trust myself. I can acknowledge these things within myself to help me move through what it is I'm going through and to heal,
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then trusting others to help you with that journey. There's been some folks, if I say moon ritual to some folks, they may look at me like cross-eyed, like, what? Okay. And then there's some folks that are like, girl, did you do your moon ritual this week? Did you sit with yourself? Did you go through and charge your crystals or sage yourself and give yourself mantras and stuff like that? And that's part of the process maybe for you. And other times it may look like something else. But if you have others that are in that circle that can understand that speak, it can definitely help you move through and rehabilitate yourself with whatever you're going through. Oprah has a really good, on her website, she has some really good tips on how to heal your emotional wounds and the like that can kind of speak to that. So we'll definitely put that up on our IG and Facebook page for y'all to look at. But
absolutely,
those are some things that you can move forward with, and the healing affirmations that I had mentioned. And
right,
how do you feel about that?
So we did speak briefly about maybe there are times when you don't need to give yourself an affirmation, you need to give yourself a question.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when affirmations are good, right? And here are some affirmations that you can do daily as you're going through your healing process. I'm reclaiming my energy and deciding to love the parts of me that hurt right now. I'm done crying about it. I deserve better. All I can do is my best. This will pass. Things will get better. Peace will find me. My life is just beginning. I haven't even scratched the surface. The past is done. The present is in my control. The future will be okay. Everything happening in my life right now is ultimately happening for my greater good. I can do hard things. Difficult does not mean impossible. And let me say that again, because I tell my daughter this all the time. I can do hard things. Difficult does not mean impossible. My daughter says, I can't do it. I said, you can do it. I was like, it's difficult, but you can do it. I don't want to hear you can't. You can. It's just a little difficult right now. And this is a big one. I forgive myself. I love myself. Mm-hmm. That should be the first thing you probably say. Mm-hmm. If you're going through some type of healing. If it's you feel like you got yourself in a situation that you shouldn't have been in, and that's why you're hurting, whatever the issue is, just tell yourself, I forgive myself. I love myself. I forgive myself. I love myself. And maybe some of these affirmations will help you. We'll also put some of these up on our IG and Facebook page.
Definitely. So, going through all this, what's the bottom line to this healing process? It is healthy to share your experiences, but there is a difference between honoring your pain and acknowledging it and wallowing it and just being in there like Eeyore all day and then not trying to take some active steps to help reconcile it with yourself. Now, we understand that's a phase a lot of people go through, but sometimes people stay there. Like when folks say, put your big girl panties on, cry about it, get yourself up the next day and keep it moving. I mean, the next day may not be literally the next day, but you understand what I'm saying. You need to find, if you can, find an accepting and empathetic person that you can relay these things to. That's where a lot of support groups come into play. For me, my endometriosis support groups and my endometriosis support groups have been a lifesaver. The group that I'm in, the Endo Black group, we talk about what's going on. We check in each day, say, I'm feeling like this. My pain is going on like this today. Or there's a lot of us in that group have multiple medical conditions that pile on top of each other, and they're triggers for other things. And talking to our spouses or our friends about it, it may just sound like we're complaining. So going to speak to them or just dropping it in the chat and having someone validate that is very healing for us to get through, because it's something that we know as a chronic illness survivor that you're living with it is ongoing. So it may not have that endpoint for some folks where they talk and they're like, okay, I've gotten through it. But some folks, for healing, it takes a lifetime. And you have to acknowledge that each day is a step in that direction. And if you have these waves of pain and you're talking, it definitely does help add a part of a little bit of levity to your situation, some lightness. And, it helps you process and put things in perspective, but it's so important that you just try to step out of yourself if you can and say, okay, I've gotten through this. I've gotten through most of 100% of my bad days. If you're going to look at your past and lament on the past, look at, I have gotten through the 100% of my bad days that I didn't think I was going to be able to get through, that have led me to this point, and it's a daily choice to stay in your healing. I've tried to get pretty good at getting up in the morning and going in to meditate and sitting and stretching. And that's all process of healing, and doing my affirmations and saying that I'm healed or what have you, to help those things process. And you start believing it in the sense that it just becomes rote to you, and you understand that I can move forward. And it's okay if you don't understand how to work through things at that point. Sometimes, I know for me, I had to go hour by hour with this healing. I'm still healing. Some days are really good. Other days, I don't know how I make it to the next minute, to the next second, because you're so present in that pain that you're like, how can I ever heal? How is this going to look in a couple of days? The fact that I can go up and down stairs now, where a month ago that was not an option for me. I was in a walker and a wheelchair and stuff like that. Those are things that progress. You have to progress. My husband was like, it'll be fine. Before you know it, you're going to be up and down the stairs. And at the time when you're in the pain and people tell you that, you may not think it. Mm-hmm. This is for everything. Like, you're like, how do you know? You don't know what my pain is like. You don't know me. You don't know my struggle. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you need those. And that's where sometimes unconscious thinking comes into play, and it's detrimental to you. Mm-hmm. So try to nip those in the butt, hopefully counter those with those mantras that you had mentioned. If you feel like you're there, just try to stop, collaborate and listen to yourself. And, be present with what you're doing. Right. And say, okay, I can do this. And if all you can do is survive for that day, man, that me and Z have both been through some things where surviving from hour to hour is all we got. And if we get through that 24 hours, whoo, that's huge.
Hello, good morning.
And take that, and take that and run with that. Give yourself credit for that. Give yourself props. Do a little dance, something to celebrate that you have reached that next step. Right. You may fall back a little bit, but at least you made that step. Right. Right. So important. Right. So important.
Well, we hope, you got a lot of useful, helpful tools and tips from this. Again, some of the things that we spoke about during this episode, we will post to our IG page. We will post how to do the resonant breathing and the grounding meditation to our IG and Facebook page. So if you're interested in that, you'll know how to do that. And okay, we're going to take a quick break and come back with our last sip of the day. And we're back. This is the last sip of tea with your hood Dalai Lama. Healing is the end of conflict with yourself. And that is attributed to Stephanie Gailing. So one of my favorite Jay-Z songs is Kill Jay-Z. It's off his album 444. And Jay-Z discusses killing off the ego so he can have a conversation about mistakes, healing, and redemption in a place of vulnerability and honesty. And one of the best lines in the songs goes, "Cry, Jay-Z. We know the pain is real, but you can't heal what you never reveal." And most of what we do, right? Most of what we do to avoid our pain in the short term actually increases our pain in the long term. So when we're avoiding it now, it's just going to come back even harder later on. So avoiding the difficult conversations, getting stuck in the muck, never makes those difficulties disappear. Dealing with hardship, going through healing is never easy, but you will find strength within yourself to overcome and heal. You might feel like your healing process is taking forever, but you'll eventually feel better and happier. And that is the last sip with your hood Dalai Lama.
Thank you. Thank you. So everyone, I hope all this has helped and given you some insight into helping heal yourself. Thank you for joining us this week on Sippin' Tea with Nat Z. You can follow us on Instagram on Sippin' Tea Nat and Z _pod, and on Facebook at Sippin' Tea Nat and Z. And look out for some of the tips we talked about and upcoming podcast topics, guests, and news. Thanks for listening, and see you next episode when we'll discuss dating 101.
Have a good week.
Thank you.